Hey Samuel, so I wanted to answer your questions in a video just because I think it's a little bit easier for me to explain, and I didn't see you online today during my office hours, so hence your own little video. So first of all, it sounds to me like you have a little bit of confusion with how to evaluate square roots. So for example, the square root of 25, the answer is whatever number multiplies by itself to be 25. So that would be 5, because 5 times 5 is 25, or negative 5, because negative 5 times negative 5 is 25. Okay, so keep in mind, it's just a single number is our answer. It's not the product. So the square root of 25 is 5 and negative 5. Now, your next question had to do with the negative sign. So let's say we have the negative square root of 16, like you were pointing out before. Like I said in my email, you want to think about that negative sign out in front as separate from the square root, because essentially it's just the same thing as negative 1 times the square root of 16. Okay, so let's evaluate what the square root of 16 is first, and then we'll do this multiplication. So the square root of 16 is whatever number multiplies by itself to be 16. And so that's either 4 or negative 4, because 4 times 4 gives me 16, and negative 4 times negative 4 gives me 16. So either one of these numbers would be the correct answer for the square root of 16. Now that we know what the square root of 16 is, let's pull out that negative 1 in front again. So we have the negative 1 times 4. So that gives me negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. So that's one of my answers for this. Let's put it up here. And I have negative 1 times a negative 4. And that gives me a positive 4. So that's how I get a negative 4 and a positive 4 being my answer for this. Now your next question had to do with putting the negative sign in on your calculator. So there's a difference between the negative square root of 16 and the square root of negative 16. Okay, so like I said before, this is like multiplying by a negative 1 out in front. This is something different entirely. When we have a negative sign on the inside, it affects this number directly. It's a negative 16. And so if you're trying to evaluate this, you have to think to yourself, what number multiplies by itself to be negative 16? Well, really the only choices to work with would be 4 and negative 4. But 4 times 4 is positive 16, and negative 4 times negative 4 is also positive 16. And so it's actually impossible to come up with a number that multiplies by itself to be negative 16. That's why when you put it on your calculator, it said that it was an invalid input. There is no solution to this because there's no number that multiplies by itself to be negative 16. And in fact, anytime you have a square root of something negative, any number right here, it's going to be invalid because there's no number that multiplies by itself to be a negative number. It will always be positive. Okay, I hope that helps answer some of your questions. Get a hold of me on Monday if I can help you anymore.